And welcome everybody to Ask Tom Live. Let me make sure I was there. Ask Tom Live. We answer your questions from our website. I, of course, answer questions every weekend at homeshowradio.com is where you can listen to the show, or Sports Radio 610. I do a radio show October 6th. Let me get the date right. I'll be starting my 35th year, if my numbers are correct, and I think they are. I'm not that old yet, but maybe in a few years I'll forget. But right now we're going to be starting our 35th year on October 6th, which the show actually is the 9th and 10th. That'll be the first weekend. And we answer your home improvement questions from 9 to noon on Saturday and 8 to 11 on Sunday. And that's what I've been doing for probably, it's the longest job I ever had. One job. That's just put it that way. I've had a lot of other jobs, but this is the longest. And I like it. Of course, we do it here at Ask Tom Live. And you can always visit homeshowradio.com for all the other things we do, like videos and stuff. But I can't leave out Danny Milliken, who comes on from 7 to 9. There's a lot of times, a lot of days. 7 to 9 on Saturdays before the 9 to 12 Home Show Radio show. And that's the Garden Pros. And he's our gardening expert. So we have a jam-packed morning on Sports Radio 610 in Houston, Texas. And you can listen to it all at homeshowradio.com, or Charlie Mosier here, who is the coordinator of all the high-end IT, high-tech stuff. He can probably tell you other places you can listen to the shows also.
Well, you listen in your car. You can listen in your kitchen.
I know, that's what I do.
No. Yeah, I think Tom, actually, I think you pretty much nailed it.
Well, now, can they listen to Danny? I'm going to ask you this now. Can they listen to Danny's show at Home Show Radio?
No, but they can listen to it at
Okay,
Home Show
that's the
Garden
part
Pros.
I was messing up.
You can go to Home Show Garden Pros and hear it. But
okay.
And just like your show, if you go to our website, if you go to homeshowradio.com, let me just show it to you real quick here. Our website there, you see that little green listen button? If you click on that green listen button, you'll hear we run the last 2 weeks shows, I think it is, are in a loop. And so you can just listen to that. If you miss the show sometime, it's like your own internet DVR. It's on there running the thing all week, and then during the show it's live. So that's the deal. But the one thing you did leave out was the podcast. That you can sign up for the podcast and it'll automatically be fed to you. If you're into the podcasting thing, we've been doing podcasts for over 20 years. Before podcasting was cool, and now
it's called radio, isn't it?
Well, no, I mean we started podcasting 20 years ago.
Oh.
And putting the show up on the website 20 years ago, and so we've been doing it a while. So, but it's all about helping you with your home improvements and all that. And if you want to get involved in this live show, because we're really here, and we're happy to take your questions. Just put them in the comments section, and Tom will answer your questions as we make our way through the show. But we start off as we do each week with, where is it? Hang on, I'm looking for the right button here.
Listening.
That's right.
I'm waiting.
What's in the news? That's right, around the world and up your block with home improvements. And this week it is the Dodged a Bullet edition in Houston. And if you're in Houston, now Tom, you're in Brownsville, and you didn't dodge the bullet so well down there. I think you guys got
No, we actually did. We actually did. Just so people know, when you look at hurricanes, you have a really dirty side, and then you have a very clean side. It stayed in the Gulf far enough south, or even Padre, they got rain and stuff. Mm-hmm. But even in Brownsville, it was clear. It was fine. We got a little bit of rain for a couple hours, but we were on the clean side. So always remember that when you look at hurricanes, which way they're spinning and what's the clean side. So Brownsville, we thought we were going to get pounded, and it just stayed south enough where we didn't.
Well, we thought we dodged a bullet around here, and I let everybody go home early that day because they were saying, get off the road by 6, the flying monkeys are coming and all that, and so I let everybody go home.
And
early.
They need to.
I went home, and we grilled hamburgers in the backyard.
Because you had no power?
Well, no, we actually we had power. And we're going to talk about that here in a second too. Okay. We had power because of thanks to our KISS generator's Kohler generator in the backyard that kept our power running the whole time. In fact, what I hear from some people, they either lost it a lot. David just wrote in, he says, my light stayed on, but then yesterday went out for a few seconds, just enough to mess up the clock.
I know, I hate that.
I feel your pain, David.
Now, wait a minute. I want everybody to know, because I have a generator too. Even when a generator switches on, you still get all the
have to
clocks
set the
messed
clock,
up. You
bet.
still have to go back and do that.
In
And
fact-
you have to reboot your modem, wait a minute, for your Wi-Fi too. So you don't escape that one.
Well, you don't have to, Tom. You put that on a battery backup, and then you don't have that problem.
That's true.
But but I will tell you, if anybody who has a generator knows that when that thing comes on in the middle of the night, the only way you know you're on the generator is you come out and clocks are flashing because life goes on as normal. But anyway, I digress. Let me get to the cases like Dave and you and me. You know, some people lost power a lot. In fact, the morning of Tuesday morning, 460,000 people in the Houston area woke up without power that morning. And this morning, there's still 98,000 in the dark. So, and the reason is that what they do is the first thing they do is they get all the vitals up, you know, the hospitals, fire stations, and all that.
Yeah.
Then they go around where they can hit the largest customers first. And so what's left now are these little pockets that they're trying to fix, and that's the deal.
It's true.
But I go back to the dodged a bullet theme because the fact is this is our second big natural disaster we've had this year, right? We had the freeze in February, and we had this.
Oh, yes.
And we're like, okay, God's warning, trying to send you a message. Get ready, right? Because sooner or later, one of these storms is going to land and give us a wallop. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is getting prepared for a storm and being ready for when things happen, okay? So I'm going to kind of run through this kind of quick here. But the first thing is you want to do, and Tom, help me if I miss anything here. First one, you want to power up and top off, and that is get your gas tank filled up in your car, get your cell batteries and all. And this sounds silly that, you know, it's a beautiful day, it's going to be a beautiful weekend. But you know what? You should have this written down somewhere. And when the storm comes, just go down the list and get it ready, right? Build an emergency kit, you know, flashlights, batteries, food, water, blankets, clothing, and most of all, cash. Because chances are the ATMs won't be working when the power is out, right? And then you want to secure your property. Go around, tie down, bring in the things you can bring in, tie down the things you can't. I saw one article that says put burlap over sculptures you have in the yard. So obviously they're in a different zip code than I am.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, but okay.
Yeah, right. All right. And then the next thing is to get your cars to higher ground. And this is one that I wish we had thought of when Harvey came to town. Is we were lucky it didn't come into our property, but hell's bells, you know, you want to get one thing you want to do is get those cars high, and don't park them under trees or power lines, obviously. And then this is probably something you never think about. What about your important documents you have around the house? Birth certificates, financial papers, insurance, and like little valuables. Put them in a safe, put them in an inside closet and all that before a storm comes through. Make an evacuation plan. This seems obvious, but the time to make the plan is not when the sky is falling and the commandant is telling us to stay off the streets. The time to do it is when you have plenty of time to think about where would we go, what would be plan B, and who is going to be the contact person for your family. That's a real important thing to think about before you have to. And then finally, if you stay, make sure you have a shelter room designated. Make sure that room has blankets and water and all that in there, because you may get in there and the house comes down around you, and at least you're safe and taken care of. So that's our thoughts. Tom, you got anything to add in terms of getting ready for a storm?
No, you know, I'm with the Texas State Guard, and the first thing we do is we get an email. Hey, get ready, stay alert, you know, be ready to go. And all these things you're talking about, we have a list of stuff that I keep ready all the time. Now, I understand I have a lot more stuff than people would as far as being able to pick up and go. But it should become a habit if you're going to live in the Gulf Coast region. Yeah. I always keep my tanks filled up all the time, just out of habit now. Living here in the Gulf Coast for 50 years, 60 years actually, when you put Miami into it, where I used to live before. And the evacuation stuff, once you have it set, it should be set regular. The only thing I would warn people about with the batteries, they tend to collect a bunch of batteries. They go back 5 years later, because I had batteries from Ike. I tried to use them. They were all, they didn't work very well. So you have to update some things. But for the most part, it has to become natural. You can write it down, but if you write it down, you got to read it. So I want it to become natural with people. And that's exactly, it's not a bad thing. Hey, an earthquake, a tsunami, a tornado, you're just laying there and here it comes. We have weeks, months, we have all kinds of time to prepare.
Right. And I would say if I learned one lesson from all that stuff, Tom, it is if you can never evacuate too soon, because
True. If you're in an evacuation area, yeah.
Yeah, and you put it off, and before you know it, you're stuck and you can't get out. And so that's, you don't want to wind up in that situation. Okay, so that is the news. That's what's news. Be ready, be safe. And a little later, we're going to share with you a video about how Tom and I got ready with our generators. So it's not our generators, but it's a little story about generators and how reliable they are. Okay, you got questions? Get them to us. Let's get to the first one from the mailbox, Tom. This one comes from Jim in Spring. He says, my dryer vent goes up through the attic and out through the roof, and it clogs up with lint really often. I think he meant lint, but maybe it clogs up with lint. I don't know. He may be Catholic. Well,
depends what time of year.
But anyway, that means I have to go into the attic and disconnect it and clean it out. Any suggestions on how to solve this, or at least make it easier? What's your advice?
Well, if it is during Lent, then I would give up using dryer during the Lent period. But that's probably not it. You have to have it cleaned. And when they do, and it's perfectly acceptable in the building business, you have them go up, you have them go over, because in theory it's just hot air, but it does collect a lot of debris from what you're drying. It's just no way around it. I don't think you'll ever find a dryer that will keep 100% out. And a lot of people don't maintain their dryers well, so it gets even worse. And there are companies out there that clean them regularly. In some parts of the country, it's known to cause a lot of fires, and I'm sure it does in Houston too. Probably not as much, but more so in other under the older buildings that you will get in the Northeast and stuff, where they're trying to retrofit all this duct into these very old buildings. But you have to have them cleaned. We have a certified Home Show Pro, Lord's Chimney, that does dryer cleaning, vent cleaning, I should say, regularly. So if you find this to be a normal thing, have it cleaned regularly. If it means every year, it's every year. I think probably if you have a situation where your vent isn't a quick straight run and it gives you all these little turns and stuff, I would say every 2 to 3 years you'll be able to figure it out. But that's probably going to be a good put on your list, just like the hurricane thing. Write it down, put it on your list, and say, oh, this is the year we have to call Lord's Chimney.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. All right, if you have a question, feel free to put it in. In the meantime, we're just going to bang through some more of these questions from our mailbox. Comes from Jose in Spring. Says, I want to repipe my 2,400 square foot, 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. What's your advice on that, Tom? I think maybe what he's asking is repipe. I know that you're big on PEX, but not all PEX is the same. And of course, we have TDT that does the E-pipe restoration. So what are your thoughts on the whole repipe program?
Well, let's do a little basics first, and I'll keep it concise. But almost any plumbing company that's, a good plumbing company, licensed plumbers, they can repipe your home. Today, PEX is a product that's used for repiping regularly. There are some good ones, and there are some that are just, probably not up to the specifications you would want in your primary home. It'd be great on a weekend cabin or something. But the Uponor products are one of my favorite. I'm sure there's some others. When you talk to your plumber, talk to them about the different types of pipes that they use. And I'm sure they'll explain the different types, because they can probably use anything they want. Now, the other thing is why are you repiping? In many cases, there's no reason to repipe. If you have old galvanized pipe and you're doing it just to clean them out, you can have those restored. You don't have to have them replumbed. The problem is most plumbers don't do that. In fact, in Houston, there's only one plumber that has a system called AskTom, and they can go in and renew those pipes brand new. I mean, better than brand new. The reason they're better is because they have a micro thin layer of epoxy that goes in there after they clean them out and sandblast them out, and the water never touches the pipe again. So it's virtually better than when the pipe was new. A new pipe has maybe a 40, 50-year lifespan. With this, you get a 75-year on top of it once you get it done. So that might be a better option, a quicker option, and one where you don't have to remodel the house. If you're tearing out walls and stuff, then you can repipe your home. And any plumbing company can do that for you. We have Abacus Plumbing you could call. Sometimes TDT, when they do the Ace Duraflow, they'll do combinations where there's some areas that are so bad they have to replace those sections. So just get good quality people. And if you don't know where to go, I always say homeshowradio.com. Get one of our people.
Yeah, that's right. All of our Home Show Pros are available to you. They're right there on our homepage. You just scroll down. You'll find them all listed right there. In fact, there's Lord's Chimney right there. And if you don't know who, but you know what, you click on Find a Pro and you can search by category. We've got it all organized for you. In fact, if you at the beginning of that page, it went by kind of quick, Tom explains to you how somebody becomes a Home Show Pro. So that is the deal. All right. Next one comes to us from Jerry in the Woodlands. Jerry writes to us, is there someone that I can contact about this constant gas line explosion fear email program with Centerpoint? You know the one he's talking about.
I know. I got one the other day. I just throw them away. But I get so much junk mail that it's just another one. It doesn't bother me. But if you'd like to complain, I would call Centerpoint and see what they have to say. I'd be curious once you do that, what the response is to you. Is it really something that they deal with? Is it some kind of program they're involved with another company? I don't know what the explanation is going to be. I know that you don't have to worry about this awful gas explosion because I have been in Houston for almost 35 years, because it was 1986, whatever that comes out to. I've never heard of one. I'm still waiting to see if we get one, but I've never heard of one. So maybe there'll be one person in 1,000 years that might have one, and they'll get the insurance coverage. Everybody else, I don't know why you want to spend your money.
Well, and
you got anything?
I'm a glutton for these things, so I love to look into them. And I got actually an email from them, and I followed the link, and you get there, and guess what happens when you land on their website? They want to sell you coverage for everything else in your house too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like, no, what you do
I'm
is
making great friends with the people that apparently I'm a customer and they want to sell me extended warranties for my 96 Bronco. They're just wonderful people.
Yeah,
We
I think
talk
your
all
regular
the time.
coverage is about to run out on that.
When I'm
car,
bored,
Tom.
I say, hey, what you doing?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I got a call about that, and I got a call that the federal government is looking for me too. I mean, these devices
Ooh, I've
bring
had
such
those.
good things. All right. In fact, there's one. Alfred Paul is watching. He's in Sealy, and he says, with all the gas leaks and home explosions that you hear about, which we don't hear about that many, is it recommended that to have your butane line going to your house checked, or is that even possible? I think he means propane, not butane. I'm not burning butane in my house.
I don't know if you could. If you wanted to, it'd be fine. Any kind of gas, you have propane, you have natural gas. If you have butane, that's fine too. You can have, if you suspect there's a leak, and let's say you're running propane in a tank and it's leaking down and you suspect there's a problem, then you can have a plumber. Plumbers handle these things, so that's who you would call. Any licensed plumber will handle these, and they're going to do a pressure test on the line to see if there's a leak. That's all you have to do. There is no maintenance. There's no regular thing you have to do with it. There's no corrosion. Let's take galvanized pipe, which was used for natural gas for years and years, decades in homes. They don't have any deterioration. They don't have any rust buildup. They don't have any problems at all as long as they're not exposed to the weather, and that would be on the outside and not on the inside. It's the fact that the water and water lines that were made out of those, they cause the corrosion, not the pipe. The pipe is virtually going to last forever, for all I know, when you're putting gas through it.
Yeah. And that is the way it is with these insurance things in general, is that it's somebody who's kind of preying on your lack of knowledge that it's not an issue. And like you're saying, Tom, you'll know because the gas level will start going down if you're on a tank, if you have a propane tank.
Or if you have natural gas, your bill will be extra high. But think about this. I always tell people, what if you said, oh, it's only $4 a month, let's just do it. And you were the company that had 1 million, 5 million, 10 million customers. Every month, every one of those people paid $4. That could be $400 million a month. A company is racking in for something that doesn't happen. Don't be a part of that, because unless it's your cousin and you just want to feed him some money, don't do it. I'm in a market, one of the markets that we work in. We have a competitor in that market that has a monthly program where you can join their club. And it's a good deal because the math works out for you that you get your tune-ups. It's essentially you're paying for your tune-ups and other services you get. But he charges $29 a month for that. He has 30,000 members. It's a lot of good
Do the
cash.
math. Yeah.
And I will tell you this, a car today doesn't get tuned up at every 100,000 miles, if that. It's not like the days when I was back with the old Monte Carlo in 1970. You had to tune it up every 2 months.
Right. But I will tell you that, you know, that timing belt is only good for 100,000 miles. And when it goes,
That's
you don't
about
want
right.
You want to get ahead of that thing, that's for sure. Hey, I want to
But I will say I have 200,000 on my Bronco and hasn't gone yet, but I'm waiting.
No, I will give you a tip. When that thing goes bad, you'll know.
Oh, yeah. It'll make noise. It'll start.
Oh, it's going to make quite a cacophony noise under the hood there. Alfred is watching, so is Richard and Greg and
Hey, guys.
Patrick and Donna, Kenlin,
Hello,
Craig, Jesus. We see you, and I don't know what to say about Mike Renfro. You're on your own on that one. And then Alfred, he sent his question. Raymond, Daryl, Todd, Stephen, Randy. We appreciate all you all being there. Thank you for being with us this week. We're here every Thursday at 4 o'clock Central Time. You send your questions in or send them into the show. If you send them to the Ask Tom section, they come out here like this. And here comes from Rusty in Atchafalaya, Louisiana. He says, what's your recommendation for insulation, Tom, under a pier and beam new construction home, as well as under conditioned space over a garage? So he's got probably one of those garage, you have room over a garage things, right? I'm building in southern Louisiana where it's hot and humid like Texas. I'm worried about moisture issues. We're planning on keeping the AC at about 70. We'll have laminate wood flooring and over underlayment and some ceramic tile. What are your thoughts on that insulating underneath there? Is there a lot of heat gain coming from under the house?
No, my thought is this: if you don't have any kind of requirements from a building department, energy requirements you have to meet, which in some places you do, so you have to use insulation, then go ahead and use don't insulate underneath the home. Now, between floors where it's air conditioned, formaldehyde-free fiberglass. I'm not going to change my ways until somebody comes out with something healthier, better, inexpensive, and that works like this does and has a long life to it. It's woven glass fibers. It doesn't rot away. So I would tell you to do that. Now, the reason underneath the house, Atchafalaya, Louisiana, it's really warm and humid, so you want to really keep the thing dry. And if the house is up off the ground, you want a lot of airflow underneath there. But as far as heat gain, the sun doesn't hit it. So if you watch your pets, your dogs and stuff, you leave them outside, they go under the house to stay cool. It's relatively cool under there. So you don't have a lot of heat gain. Now, if you have a really cold winter, and in that part of the country, I don't think you're going to really see much of that. It's not worth trying to keep this stuff up in there. I would not do it at all, and I would just turn the heat on as much as you want and be comfortable with what little bit of heat you'll need. Even though you think it's really freezing, it's not. It's just we get really sensitive here in the South. But as far as that goes, let it dry. And when I say no insulation, that means all that airflow is just going to keep all the wood dry, keep it clean, and of course it won't affect your laminate floors and stuff because you're in a way acclimating underneath and dehumidifying by airflow as you are in the house at 70 degrees.
Yeah, you really don't have that. The only thing, if you're watching this from anywhere but Texas, I have to tell you, Texans are tough about everything but cold.
We don't like cold weather.
like running home to like scare little girls to mama, It's like they hate the cold. No, anyway.
That's true. No. We don't like it.
We're going to. We got a video coming up here in a minute. We're going to watch, but I want to squeeze one more question here, Tom, so we
I'll
get
keep it
the
quick.
show done on time here today. This comes from Xandra in West Houston. It's real simple. She wants to know what kind of gutter guard do you recommend. I personally use the kind that you can set, and they come up, and then if you're bowling well, you can have them go down.
I like bowling. Oh, well, you use the sissy ones. Okay, now we have this. This is. I just went through this on my house. We have a great certified home show pro over at Custom Gutters. And Jimmy over there was showing me, I said, which one do you use, Jimmy? Because there's a bunch of them on the market today. And because he has this really custom-made gutter system where 7-inch or 6-inch gutters, it's just not one size fits all. He showed me 3 or 4 different types depending on, do you have pine needles? Do you have regular leaves? Do you have a lot of valleys? So he was really interesting, and the ones that I chose was a metal grid that goes up under the first row of shingles and clips down on top of there because I don't have pine needles. And I asked him, well, if I had pine needles, would you use this one? He said no, because the pine needles get stuck in it and they stick up like little trees all over, and then somebody's got to go pull those things out because it looks horrible. In that case, he uses a mesh. So when it really comes down to is this: what is your problem? And get the product that's best to solve that particular problem. And I was amazed because if you listen to my show, and I'm going to finish it with this, Charlie, I know we're against the time. If you listen to my show 25 or 30 years ago, the gutter helmet was the only one that was working at the time, and it worked great. I still have it on parts of my home because they didn't come up with these other things. They had a lot of Mickey Mouse stuff, and they were old vinyl gutters people were using. So it was a day and time back then. But today you have options, and it's really good to have those options for your problem.
Options are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, you're playing with that video. You getting ready?
You caught me. I was getting something. I was queuing up that video and getting it ready.
I know what you're doing. You're
I'm
over there with
sorry.
your computer thing.
I'm over here. Yeah. I was here. I was queuing it up on the turntable over here, getting it ready. We were talking
There you
about that the other day in our meeting. When we were disc jockeys, used to know how to put your hand on the record and use your thumb to start the turntable and hold it on the felt, so when you hit the jingle and it ended, you could do it and the song would come on right when you wanted. It's one of many skills
it's
that
a lost talent.
yeah, it's a lost skill. I'm not ready to call it a talent, but anyway,
Okay.
we digress. We move along here, and we appreciate you being with us. Tom is here to help you every Saturday and Sunday. Now, this Sunday we're on 7 to 9. We're on early this Sunday because the Texans again. But he is here every weekend on the radio for you.
I am. Come visit me on Saturday from 9 to 12 and Sunday 7 to 9 this week. And for the Texans, hey, they're 1-0. They're leading the division. What are you going to do? Enjoy it.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody's going to the World Series on opening day. That's exactly
That's
right.
it. Well, a few of them aren't. The Cowboys didn't make it, so go Texans.
And go Stros. I think I checked this morning. They're like
doing
7
great.
up, and they're looking solid here coming to the end of the season too. All right, and then on Saturday, and then before Tom comes on Saturday, of course, we got Danny.
Yes, we do. From 7 to 9, listen to Danny and get your garden advice. I use his advice. I'm because God is my witness, and it works. He has improved my gardening skills 1,000%.
All right, and of course, if you want to get your questions to us here, and you didn't have a chance to put them in, you go here, go homeshowradio.com, click there on that Ask Tom button. It'll take you to this page where you can either send us a question in writing or you can send us a video. Either way, you'll come to a form like this. Fill it out, give us the information. I'll give you one pro tip that when you send us pictures, it helps us do a better job answering your question. And Tom and I put out one of those. Well, I read it. Tom answers. We post a new one every day, have for 20-something years. And you'll find them at homeshowradio.com, our Facebook page, and, of course, the Home Show Radio YouTube channel, where you can, for extra credit, scroll down and watch Tom and I expand and contract over the years and our hair change color.
Or fall out.
Or fall. That's right. All right. So that's it. So now, but before we go, we do want to share with you a little video about how you can make sure that the next time the lights go off, your life goes.
When that power goes out, you're in the dark. You have refrigerators, you have computers. With a backup generator, he has full power in his house. We take the homeowner's ideas and we put them on paper.
Those ideas are this reality. A custom home with classic charm and some new touches.
There's not another house like this anywhere in Houston.
One way this home is like every other house in Houston, it's vulnerable to storms and the inconveniences they bring.
This generator here, the 30 RCL, weighs approximately 1,300 pounds, and it produces 30 kilowatts of power.
If it seems big, that's because it is. It has a big job to do. Power everything in this home when the power goes out.
We come out and we do a load analysis on the home. We get an idea of the actual load that your home is going to require.
How long does it take to restore power? About half the time it takes to describe the process. Don't believe me?
When utility goes out, the transfer switch will recognize that utility has gone out. It will then send a signal to the generator. The generator will then start within 3 seconds. 7 seconds after that, the power will transfer to the generator, and then the home will be powered within 10 seconds.
Now here it is in real time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Everything back online in 10 seconds sounds like it would be enough. But this homeowner wanted one more thing.
He specifically wanted a Kohler liquid-cooled generator.
Why?
A liquid-cooled generator is better because it's quieter.
Looks like this generator might be seeing some action soon. Don't worry.
It can run for days or weeks at a time.
Knowing which generator is right for your home and how to install and maintain it. That's what makes KISS Generators a certified Home Show Pro. For HomeShowRadio.com, I'm Tom Tynan.
That's an example of all the videos. We have a lot more videos like that available for you at HomeShowRadio.com. All kinds of topics. We put new ones out all the time. We put one out about leveling sidewalks last week. We're working on some other ones I can't talk about right now because I can't remember.
I relate.
But anyway, but that's it for today. We'll be back again 4 o'clock Central Time next Thursday with another Ask Tom Live. And Tom, you got anything to say?
No, it's been great. I will say this about hurricanes. We started out, one little thought is the new tracking systems compared to 30, 40 years ago are much better. So you can trust them a lot more than, say, back in Dr. Neil Frank days, for those of you that remember him.
I will tell you the one that I don't mind. I'll give them a unsolicited plug here. They're not sponsors or anything. But the one we go to, whenever there's a storm in the Gulf, we go to spacecityweather.com. Those guys have nailed it right every storm for as long as we've been going there. And they don't get all hyped. They're not like, run for your lives. So anyway, spacecityweather.com. Check them out. You'll like them. And we'll see you next week.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro